New weapons get released in Warframe all the time, which is fantastic because we get a whole bunch of new toys to play around with. The problem is that some of the older weapons kinda get forgotten, some aging better than others. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Lazar, and today we're gonna be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 7 primary weapon, the Latron Wraith. I'm gonna be covering a couple of builds, something cheap and affordable, something anybody can build, but of course we also have the endgame setup with a Riven. That being said, please keep in mind that my builds and guides take a new player friendly approach, simply because there's a lot of info here and I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So if you're a veteran of the game and you already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Latron Wraith. Let's begin by quickly taking a look at how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that we're going to be taking our usual free shots. The Latron Wraith is a supremely accurate weapon. Take a look at this. Let's take about 40 meters to the target, 43 meters, and the bullet lands exactly where you aim, and that is absolutely fantastic. Now unfortunately, that's kinda where the praise ends, because the whole Latron series is plagued by usability issues. First of all, the recoil. Take a look at this. It's jumpy as all hell, and if you were to go full blast, good luck trying to control that one. Basically, you're gonna pepper the entire crosshairs area with a whole lot of bullets. Now, you can get somehow in the rhythm of the weapon, but to be honest, in day-to-day gameplay, it's simply annoying because of that recoil. And of course, that's not all. You got 15 shots in your magazine. That's it, 15 bullets, after which you gotta reload 2.4 seconds. So needless to say, it's not the most comfortable weapon to use. But let's jump into stats to see precisely what we're dealing with. Mod capacity is going to be 60 out of 60, and if your Latron Wraith has only 30 out of 30, jump into actions and install the Auto King Catalyst. Now this one can be obtained from alerts, invasions, especially after dev streams, and as it says, it will double your mod capacity. Now if you're around Mastery Rank 7 and you just got the Wraith from a friend, or you farmed it from invasions and all whatnot, I would hold off on using the Catalyst if you just have one or don't have a lot of resources. Go for the heck shotgun. In any case, let's take a look at my formats. I format the weapon 6 times, but for the weapon build, I'm recommending you guys, free format will be more than enough. Simply add free V symbols or Madurai. The accuracy is 28.6, which, as you saw earlier, the weapon is pinpoint accurate, and you also get a good critical chance at 26% and a critical multiplier at 2.8x. Now, if you're the type of sharpshooter, the type of player that only goes for headshots, shot by shot and all whatnot, you're gonna be loving your time with the Latron Wraith. Keep in mind that it does matter a whole lot to go for headshot damage when it comes to critical weapons. Link in the cards right now if you want to fully understand how critical chance and critical multipliers apply in Warframe. A fire rate of 5.42, which is not fantastic. Then on the other hand, we got a magazine of only 15, and we also have that jumpy recoil, so I guess the fire rate is fine as is, considering the rest of the specifications. That said, the weapon is pretty uncomfortable to use because of the recoil, because of the low magazine, and because of the long reload. However, with a weapon that is not very popular, therefore not very powerful, comes high Riven disposition of 4 out of 5, which means that the Rivens for the Latron series will be pretty powerful. A status chance of only 14%, and we got impact, puncture, and slash on the weapon. A high amount of puncture, but we don't have much of a status chance. Now, puncture in Warframe is not a bad physical type, definitely not. It deals extra damage to heavily armored targets, which more often than not are the targets which are harder to take out. Slash is here. I honestly don't know for what reason slash is even here. Again, you got only a 14% status chance. You're never gonna get the slash higher than the puncture. And impact is here, of course, just to piss us off. That said, there's a couple of ways you can build a weapon. You can go through the critical chance and build Hunter Munitions and get some bleed action like that, or you can go for a straight elemental approach. I'm gonna be showcasing both, and you guys get to pick whatever you prefer. Let's start off with a standard build, shall we? Damage with Serration, multi-shot with split chamber and vigilante armaments, and of course we got critical chance and critical damage through point strike and vital sense. Now these is what I like to call mandatory mods, but of course in Warframe nobody's forcing you to use specific mods, and if you're just doing your regular missions, I don't know, level 20s, 30s and all whatnot, it doesn't really matter all that much what you put on a weapon. But that said, we got a critical chance of 65% with point strike alone, and a 6.2 crit multi just by using vital sense. You also see here that my status chance went up to 31.4. That is because of all the multi-shot, and this represents a shot status chance. Since we said we're gonna build elemental first, let's talk about elemental damage in Warframe. This should be applied depending on circumstance. Where are you going and who exactly are you shooting? That's only if you want the best results. For example, if you're up against the Infested, I would recommend AoE weapons heavily modded into heat. Now, the Infested kinda have 4 subclasses, each with their own unique vulnerabilities and resistances to damage, so check the info out on the wiki. I just recommend heat against them. That said, if you're going up against Corpus or Valis and all whatnot, then I would recommend you build Gas or Toxin to bypass their shields entirely and deal damage to their health. Keep in mind that some Corpus units underneath those shields have armor, and in which case you would build radiation damage depending on the armor type. And speaking of armor, the toughest targets in Warframe, the Grineer. They have 2 armor types. They have ferrite armor, which is weak to corrosive damage, and they also have alloy armor, which is weak to radiation damage. For example, heavy gunners have ferrite armor and bombards have alloy armor. Against Grineer, more often than not, your safest bet is to build corrosive, which is the elemental combo between electricity and toxin. So let's build some, shall we? Should I go for the 90 mods or for the 60-60 mods? Guys, if you knew what small difference these two make when it comes to ordinary, average, everyday gameplay. Let me put it to you another way. If you're going high level content, and when I say high level content, I'm talking about over level 100, way over. You're gonna be staying a couple of hours in a survival and all whatnot. Then and only then I would actually go for the 60-60 mods. High voltage, 60% electricity and 60% status chance. Now this one can be farmed from the game. The mission is called Naelgar from the planet Eris. There are secret caches, all of them. You gotta find all the free secret caches. Then upon extraction, you got a 5% chance at getting this one, or Shell Shock, which is the exact same thing but only for shotguns. I'll be honest here, the grind on Naelgar is not fun. It's honestly simply not fun to do. So if you have the plat, head on over to the trade chat, pay 40-50 plat for this one. That's what I would do, because you are gonna need it eventually for your primary builds. Next to Toxin, this one is a lot cheaper. Malignant Force, 60% Toxin and 60% status chance. Now this one is only 10 plat because it's easy to obtain from Corrupted Vor in the Void. So you can farm it or you can just simply buy it. That said, if you don't have high voltage or you don't want to spend the money and all whatnot, you can simply use Stormbringer instead, and this one drops from basically everywhere. There's still one more mod slot left on the weapon. This is what I like to call an option slot. Plug into this one whatever you feel comfortable with, because the last mod in this particular setup isn't gonna make a tremendous difference in damage. It's not a good idea, bad idea. Oh my god, did I make a mistake by equipping this mod? No, you did not. Play and cater the weapon to your own individual preferences. For example, a good idea would be to get some punch through on the weapon, especially considering that it has a lot of downtime. Metal Auger, 2.1 meters worth of punch through. Now that means that your bullet will be going through the initial target and keep traveling for about 2.1 meters. Link in the cards right now if you want to see a demonstration on how punch through actually works in Warframe. That is a way you can go for. Heavy caliber, yes, I did not talk about this one. To be honest, it's not really worth using on the Latron Wraith. The bullets go haywire, and not the initial bullet, but all the multi-shot resulting from split chamber and vigilante armament. Sometimes the accuracy penalty isn't all that high, and sometimes you're like, wow, really? So there you go, it's really up to you. I don't recommend heavy caliber for everything except close range shots. Another thing that you can do with a weapon is equip Shred. Now this is a fantastic mod, a lot of people have it. You should have it just by playing the game, and there's also a prime version, but that one you only get from login and all whatnot. 30% fire rate and 1.2 meters worth of punch through. Normally I love this mod, but in the case of the Latron Wraith, it simply doesn't make that much sense considering the recoil on the weapon, considering the magazine size, and considering the reload. So there you go. What you can do is increase the elemental combo on your weapon by adding more of the 2 elements that you build, or maybe you build 4 elements. In my case, I have corrosive, which is the combination between electricity and toxin. If I was to add more to the weapon, I don't know, something like more infected clip, or maybe with Stormbringer, I will be increasing my corrosive amount to 834. Now here's a rule for Warframe. Impact, Puncture and Slash. The physical types have a 4 times greater chance at proccing over elemental types. The values that you see on the left corner are not just to understand how much damage you will be doing per bullet, they're also to understand what is the proc priority, so bear that one in mind. We're gonna go like this. Keep in mind that the Latron Wraith is not exactly a status weapon, but more corrosive in this case, which will be amplified by 75%, will be a good thing versus corrupted heavy gunners, because the ancient healers and the elite crewmen will not pose a threat to us, as you will see. Ancient healer, 1, 2, 3. Level 120. If you're MR7 and you just got the weapon again from a friend, or you farmed it by yourself, you're not really gonna have much of an issue when it comes to infested. However, when it comes to corrupted heavy gunners, as you will see, I'm gonna have to put a whole lot of bullets into these guys to take them out. And the performance of the weapon for an MR7 rifle is not terrible, but it's definitely not great either. Take a look at this. I think I need about 2 clips. And that is pretty much it. You don't have much of an issue with the infested, you're not gonna have an issue with the corpus, but you are gonna have an issue with targets that actually have damage mitigation. If you want to take out the corpus a lot more easily, you can build again gas or toxin, and that's gonna work really nice for you. Bypass the shields and all whatnot again. That is a way you can build a weapon, but from my point of view, it's not quote-unquote the best way. What you should be doing is going through a bleed build. Now, to build bleed on the weapon, we can't go through the status chance because, again, it is a tad too low. So what we're gonna be doing instead is using one of the most overpowered mods in Warframe. It's called Hunter Munitions. This one has a 30% chance to apply a slash on critical hit, and our critical chance is 65% and the crit multi is 6.2x. Now that critical multi of course will affect the value of our slashes. So we can go for something like this, but what are we gonna pair it with? You can go for even more critical chance and critical damage through Argon scope and bladed rounds, or you can make the vital elemental combo. Vital on a status proc will be reducing the maximum health of your targets to 50% for the duration of the vital effect. So for that limited amount of time, in a way your slashes are kind of dealing double damage. The idea, the point to playing slash with vital is to kill the target using slash damage while it's under the effects of vital. So let's try that, shall we? We're gonna go for the 60-60 mod simply because you do not get consistent enough vital procs by using the 90 mods. You guys can test it for yourself and all whatnot. But I'm just gonna spare yourself the hassle, and we're gonna go with rhyme rounds and malignant force. Now let's test the weapon out like this, see what we get. Again, slashes are coming from Hunter Munitions, and I'm not gonna need 1,000 vital procs, I'm just gonna need 1 or 2 to get the most out of the weapon. The ancient healers, not a problem. By the way, did you know that ancient healers are vulnerable to corrosive damage? Yep, they're part of their elite units and all whatnot. Alright, these are out of the way, now let's try it for some corrupted heavy gunners. Take a look at that, 50% health on the target, I got a vital proc, I got my bleeds, and awesome. Now that is a huge improvement over the corrosive build we showcased earlier. I'll be honest, it doesn't always work that well, as you will see. You don't have enough slashes right now on your target, even though you have the vital proc. So when the vital goes away, boom, the health goes back up. But for the Latron Wraith and for the Latron Prime, a Hunter Munitions bleed build will be working a whole lot better than an elemental build. Now you also should understand why exactly that is. First of all, corrosive to be good needs a lot of procs. The more corrosive procs you get on the target, the less armor they will have, so therefore your subsequent shots will be dealing a lot more damage. And with the Latron Wraith, you're not really firing all that many bullets, so bear that one in mind. And the status chance is pretty not good either. So as you can see, a bleed build with vital will be working a whole lot better. Again, I urge you to test the 60-60s over the 90s because the vital is not consistent enough without them. Or you can even go for a combination, 160 and 190. Now, as for the other variant of the bleed build, we need some expensive mods. If you don't have this one, don't worry about it too much. It's a tad inflated. This one can only be obtained from the Acolyte event, which only rolls around once every year or once every 2 years, and I think it's about 200 plat currently on the trade chart. Critical chance on headshot, 145% when aiming for 9 seconds, and of course a higher critical chance will mean that I'm getting more chances to proc more slash from Hunter Munitions. Critical damage with bladed rounds. Now this one is fairly cheap, but in all honesty you should really go for this one. It's 120% critical damage when aiming for 9 seconds, the same amount as Vital Sense, but of course since it's an on-kill effect, it's not as reliable as Vital Sense. So let's test the weapon out like this. Oh, I forgot to shoot the corpus, boo-hoo. First, we're gonna have to get a kill in order to get the buff from bladed rounds. There we go. Full clip in the target set, and you will see that the value of my bleeds have gone up considerably. I'm doing 2000 plus per bleed now. If you have the mods, if you have, let's be honest, if you have Argon scope and you want a bleed build, this is the way to go. Clearly, this is the way to go. The weapon is a whole lot more consistent than with the viral approach we showcased earlier. But again, it revolves around Argon scope. Do you have it or don't you have it? The weapon is a bit better with it, but if you don't have it, there's no need to go and spend 300 plat or 200 plat or something crazy like that on it. Honestly, Warframe does not require you to do so, but it's also true that you will be needing it for a lot of primary builds. So there you go. That's gonna do it for standard builds. Overall, the performance is not bad when it comes to the bleed build. Again, for an MR7 rifle, performance-wise, that's not bad. It's not awesome, no, I can't put it against much more powerful weapons, but still, it's not bad. As for a Riven setup, I got this one for 150 plat. Latron Acrican with multi-shot and critical damage, and you probably wonder what is the ideal Riven for the Latron Wraith, at least, not necessarily for the Prime. I would go for critical damage, critical chance, and multi-shot. Critical chance up to 100%, and then focus on the critical damage so you increase the value of those bleeds. Multi-shot is always good, except on grenade launchers. Currently, multi-shot in Warframe is a huge deal, so basically almost never wrong to have more multi-shot. And as before, is a critical bleed build with Argon scope bladed rounds, and I simply swapped in the Latron Acrican instead of Vigilante armaments. One more time, same targets. Two shots. I got a bleed, but the value, will it be enough? I'm actually wondering. 2200. Nah, not gonna be enough. Full blast on this target. Take a look at that. Almost 3000 value for the bleeds, and of course the weapon is a lot more powerful now. I'm also shooting more bullets more often than not, so there is also that to take into account. With each additional bullet that has that guaranteed critical chance. Oh, I didn't run the math. I don't think it's guaranteed with Argon scope alone. But in any case, as you can see, the weapon is a whole lot more powerful with a Riven. That doesn't mean you should go out of your way to get one. The weapon can handle higher level content even without a Riven. And the problem with the Latron series in general is not in the power, it's not in the stats, it's in the usability. Will you enjoy using something like this? I'll be honest here, I simply do not. But again, if you're the type of sharpshooter, you might be loving your time with the Latron Wraith. There's still one more thing which I want to do, bump up everything with Warframe buffs, and for that we're going to be using Lady Mirage Prime, because I want to use Lady Mirage Prime. Let's adjust the colors, shall we? Ugh, kind of a bright red there. But in any case, let's take a look at them stats. You can use something like Rifle Amp. Now this will give you 27% extra damage to rifles, and you can also use Coaction Drift to increase the value that Rifle Amp gives you. It's an aura, everybody in your party will be receiving this benefit, and it is stackable ×4. Against Grenier, it's a much better idea, however, to go for Corrosive Projection, but Rifle Amp will grant its benefit regardless of your target. So bear that one in mind. Shall we go for it? Sure, let's go for it. Vitality, and we're gonna get Rifle Amp in here. Honestly, again, it's not really worth, but let's try to max out the weapon and all whatnot. When it comes to arcanes, keep in mind that these are a lot more impactful. Try to get into Eidolon hunting if you don't wanna spend a whole bunch of plat. Honestly, I know it looks a tad intimidating, but it's really not all that much to it. Arcane Rage will be absolutely fantastic with the Latron Wraith. This is an on-headshot effect, 10% chance for plus 120% damage to primary weapons for 16 seconds, and it is possible to double stack these. As for your second Arcane, you can go for a bit of fire rate, but again, from my point of view, it's not really worth it. What you can go for is more critical chance with something like Avenger. Now, Avenger is a 30% critical chance increase bonus additive after, which means that it stacks on top of what you already have, and this is what I'm going to be recommending for you guys. More critical chance on a critical weapon, never really a bad idea. Okay, this time what we're going to be doing is unpausing these guys, but if I have all these types, the problem is they're going to start fighting each other, and I would prefer if they would focus on me. Let's go Corrupted Heavy Gunner, let's spawn 8 of them and unpause that AI. I'm going to be activating Mirage's free ability for a massive damage increase, as well as her lovely clones. And now you will see the full power of the Latron Wraith. Let's go for headshots directly. Take a look at that. It just jumps through targets and I can stop firing, and of course the bleeds will be dealing the damage. Or I can just open up and I'll just annihilate everything. Again, it is a bit difficult to use, but that doesn't mean that the weapon can't be powerful. Sure it can. I would love to see if the Latron series got a little bit of love from our favorite developer. Make it a bit more usable. Make it a little bit more user-friendly. Give it something that players would use it. I would love to see it, because this is an old weapon. That's the honest truth. It's an old weapon, and I would still love to see at least some players use the Latron Wraith. And that's pretty much it for this review, guys. As always, my name has been Lazer. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you guys have any feedback for me, then by all means, leave it in the comment section down below. Now, I can't exactly guarantee that any weapon suggestion would be done within a week or by next time, but I will be reading through each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.